Hey, what's good, everybody? Happy Tuesday already. Welcome, welcome. We're going to go over the markets today, go over what happened. There's actually a lot that was going on today, but sort of a weekday, giving back a lot of what happened yesterday. We'll walk through it. In the meantime, tonight, if you're on Instagram, follow us at Jazz Wealth. Going to go do live at 8 o'clock tonight. Ask an Advisor. I'm going to go over a series of questions that I get all the time. That are maybe a little bit different than what you're used to hearing. And then also, if you have a question, you need some help, happy to help you with that. Going to stick around here in the office a little bit late and help you with that. Also, be sure to check on our website now. Right on the menu, we've put our events page available for you so you can see all of the events coming up, as well as our performance for our funds. If you're interested in joining us here at Jazz Wealth, you're curious what we invest in, how we invest, all of the performance of our different funds are published and updated every single Friday night on our website. You can check that out as well. Also, remember, and a lot of you have taken this seriously, apparently you guys are having more problems with Wells Fargo than what has been sort of put out to the public. Remember, any account that you transfer from Wells Fargo to Jazz Wealth, we're going to cover any fees that they may charge. If you don't transfer an account to Jazz Wealth, please move from Wells Fargo somewhere else. Ridiculous what's going on there. But that is the end of my rant. I'm in a good mood today, so we're going to talk about the markets. Here's the thing. If I go over to the charts, we can work our way over that way. The S&P 500, well, let's start with the Dow. The Dow closed lower by 178, most of that coming in the later part of the day. The S&P sold off 8, and the Nasdaq closed lower by 15. Here is every single day's performance for about a year. Today, this one here furthest to the right is today's performance. You can see we're basically just holding up here at the highs. Not too much to be concerned about. Initially, the markets were higher. The Dow actually started the day up triple digits when China announced that certain tariffs on some of the vehicles that they import, they'd actually lower the tariffs on them. So initially, that was a good deal, good news for Ford, General Motors, and a couple other names. But as the day went on, Mr. Donald Trump on TV hinted that, hey, maybe the meeting between North Korea and Trump or Kim Jong would not take place. And so that sort of led to a slow breathing off here in stocks. And so for the end of the day, that pushed the Dow down, down 178. Not a big deal, although it does give back almost everything that was gained yesterday. Big focus right now is retail. If you own retail stocks, you're invested in the retail sector, there is a lot going on with retail stocks. We'll start with some of the good stuff, TJ Maxx, if you're familiar with TJ Maxx or TJX companies, they own the other stores as well. What was it, Marshalls? They own Marshalls too. Anyways, the stock was up 3.25%. That hits a new high. If you look on the chart here, nothing but a straight uptrend. If you don't understand each one of these little blips that you see on the screen, all you need to see is that everything is moving higher for TJ Maxx. They reported earnings. Everything was good there. They showed a lot of great growth in their earnings, but they also said that customer traffic was the primary driver of their earnings beat. So apparently a lot of people are going over to TJ Maxx. However, if you dig a little deeper into their earnings, just something I like to do every now and then, a lot of their growth actually came from the tax cuts. They're starting to see the benefits of that. So don't really, the CEO's job is to put a happy face on, make everything seem great. A lot of the growth did come from taxes. He failed to mention that in the comments there, but that's okay. That's TJ Maxx, everything looking good there. If you're an investor in Kohls, not looking good there. Kohls, actually, let's take a look and see. Kohls was down today 7.42% on volume that was 450 times the average, meaning the number of shares that traded hands back and forth throughout the day was 450% higher today than it is normally. And actually, you can see it on the chart. See this gray line right here? That represents the volume for today. You can see, obviously, that it is way higher than most days. 450% change in hands there. Everything was really good with their earnings. There wasn't too much bad inside of it. What happened was the company came out and said, hey, a lot of this goodness is because of our sort of seasonal promotions that they've been doing, and it could affect our second half of the year. Well, that sounded like negative news. Add that to a weak market, and you got a recipe for a stock that's down 7.5% today. Are you familiar with AutoZone? AutoZone advertises a lot by us. This was a wild day of trading. If you know anything about candlesticks, then you know that today the stock actually started higher, quite a bit higher. 5.5% higher was the move on the day to start. So you wake up, you're like, I own some AutoZone. It's up 5.5%. And then it just sold off all day long. It closed down over almost 10%. Earnings came in better than expected. Everything was fine there. Actually, earnings came in at $13.42 a share. We were only expecting $12.92, so that was a big one. Revenue for the company was well below expectations. And so as that started to get sort of pushed by the analysts and everybody started talking about it, sold off little by little. Add that to a weak market, and you got a recipe for a stock that's down, well, almost 10% on the day. JCPenney, we'll just cover that quickly. I actually didn't see how JCPenney ended. It ended at new lows, $2.28, down another 6% today. The CEO, kind of an interesting story if you read about it. The CEO basically just knocked on the door to all of the board members and said, I'm out, guys. I'm going over to Lowe's. So he's leaving, going to Lowe's, and kind of left them like at the last possible minute. No real heads up, no real notice. Brother is out. He's moving on to Lowe's. He's going to lead Lowe's. So if, I made some negative comments about Lowe's, but we'll see what he can do because we're getting a new leadership there over at Lowe's. So if we take a look at the stock, Lowe's has some work to do, but today it did start the day higher, suffered a little bit with the weak market. I think that's sort of acceptable. If you look over to the semiconductor sectors, you got MU, Micron Technologies, just killing it. They announced yesterday that they were going to raise their guidance going forward. Everything looked great. And today they announced, hey, you know what? We're going to take $10 billion and buy back some of our shares. Investors love that. Always love that. Up 6.4%. They also announced that they'll be working with Intel. If you know who Intel is, they're going to work with Intel to develop some new chips. So also good news for Micron. So that is that. What else do we have? Well, I guess I got to cover it here. We're going to cover some of the negative stuff. If we go over to home builders, one of the worst performers today. Home builders down 2% and continue to do poorly. What you're looking at on the charts here is the performance of the home building sector. New home builders. Toll Brothers, I believe, was the worst out of the group. The stock was down 10%. The problem we have here is it's costing more in labor for these guys to build homes, right? So all the home builders, Toll Brothers, Beazer, whoever you want to follow, costs them more in labor to build the homes. That's a problem they've been having for a while. It's costing them more in supplies. It's costing them more in sheetrock. And on top of all of that, there's a lot of new homes available. Supply is increasing. So home builders are down about 30% this year. Could be a discounting sector, but for the moment, nobody seems to want to take their shot on the home builders. And then lastly, you know what nobody's talking about? And then I'll answer some of your questions in posts if those are questions there. You know what nobody is talking about? And I'm going to go over to the charts here so we can pull it up. You've got the financials. Why were the financials higher today? Why have they been sort of holding up here despite a little weakness showing up? Well, tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. The Federal Reserve is actually going to be easing the regulations on the banks. The Volcker rule, if you follow that, is going to get a little bit of a haircut. So when we went through the financial crisis and they put all these restrictions on the banks, essentially what they're doing now, very quietly without saying anything, is easing some of those restrictions. Now, Wells Fargo, believe it or not, is not one of them. So they still have to follow some of their restrictions that they have because they're sort of treating people badly. But they're going to be releasing this sort of update to the Volcker rule tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Is tomorrow Wednesday? Tomorrow's, yeah, so tomorrow. And nobody's mentioning that. Now, maybe it becomes a headline tomorrow, but leading up to this, all this talk, all of this sort of campaigning, lobbying from the banks, nobody's talking about that. I think the banks are about ready to get away with something. What does that mean as an investor, right? As a consumer, that may sort of piss you off a little bit, but as an investor, that leaves a lot of room for banks to potentially grow here. So something we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. All right, lastly, what do we have? After the close, more earnings from retail. You've got Urban Outfitters. Urban Outfitters reported earnings already. They were up 4%. Now they're down 2%. So a little bit of wildness going into earnings there. Urban Outfitters has reported. We were expecting some large numbers out of them. So we'll take a look. The Container Store is up 6% after earnings, and Red Robin, they haven't reported yet, but if you, oh, Red Robin, nope, Red Robin has not reported yet. Also, Cheesecake Factory, if you like some of these retail locations. No, Red Robin has reported, down 12%. Holy cow. So not looking good for some of the retail stocks. All right, you guys, some questions here. I don't want to take too much more of your time. I like to keep these short. Kohls is a good store. You like to shop there. I'm starting to really like the One by Me, Mark. They've made a lot of changes. I think the store is still not a better deal than some of the other stores, but it does look pretty good. I find myself wanting to go check out what they're doing, so that's okay. Elliot just catching up with us. Thanks, Dennis. No worries, no worries. Let's see. Oh, don't pick on Elliot. All right, guys, I appreciate you coming by. Listen, stay tuned to the website. We are putting together a huge class for our customers. It is going to be all about the budget. And I'm talking about specifically what do you do with your budget. Not this general rah-rah motivate you sort of stuff, but exactly how much do you spend on a car if you choose to get a loan? Exactly how long do you keep the car for? How much do you pay for your house? Exactly how do you budget for your house if you're going to buy a new one or if you've bought one already? How do you break down your budget? We're going to go over every last penny so that you know exactly how much to save, how the emergency fund works, how do you move money in and out of the emergency fund. Nothing general. It is going to be I believe Saturday, June 9th. Of course, it'll be recorded for you guys. But if you can join us live, I am so excited about this class. It'll probably be an hour or two long because we're going to go through it. Top to bottom. We're not going to mess around with sort of any general information. We're going to get down to it. So stay tuned for information on that. Should be able to publish that tomorrow for people to register. Actually, our clients don't have to register. We'll just be publishing that so you can see it on the events tab. All right, other than that, I don't see anything else popping up across the news here. Everything looks like it is quieting down besides the earnings in the retail space. We will, of course, update you on that as it happens. You guys have a great day. It's been raining here for like the last 5 days, so not much to do but work. I'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy. Thank you so much.